Hey, welcome in everybody. Dave Solentano here with Guitar Tricks, our Wednesday night YouTube classes for everybody, sponsored by Guitar Tricks. Cool, David. Hey, what's happening? All right, standing by. Yep. And then Steve's here. Cool. All right. So we just spent the last couple months, it seems like, a little bit longer, working on the modes. Today we're starting a new series, and what I'm going to be doing is spending 2 weeks on specific techniques involved with playing lead guitar. For instance, hammer-ons and pull-offs. That's what we're going to be working on today and next Wednesday. Then after that, we're going to work on string bending and vibrato for a couple weeks. Then we're going to work on picking, your speed picking techniques. Got to work on two-hand tapping. We're going to work on hybrid picking. I'm going to spend 2 weeks on each subject matter. Got several things lined up. So for today and next week, let's take a look at our curriculum here. Okay, it should be, if you expand the text box under your YouTube video, you'll see a blue URL or link that says print curriculum or something to that effect. Okay, so we got 3 pages here. We're going to be spending 2 weeks on it, so we're not going to do everything in the 3 pages today. Okay, it's kind of general stuff, pretty basic stuff, but it's for anyone that's just starting out playing lead guitar and wants to learn some of these techniques involved. Because when you play solos, you can only play what techniques you have in your hip pocket. You know, what things you've been working on. Okay. And soloing is not just about playing a bunch of scales up and down, but using string bends, vibrato, legato technique. Okay. Let me make a note here. Legato is where you've picking one note and then getting a whole series of hammer-ons and pull-offs and maybe sliding or even tapping notes where you're not picking. Because when we pick every note, it tends to sound very articulate. Yeah, that sounds okay. That's picking every note. If I do tapping and hammer-ons and pull-offs, see, it sounds a little smoother because you don't hear the attack of the pick hitting the string. Okay, so that's what we're working on today, is the hammer-ons and pull-offs, which are a big part of legato style playing. All right, so who else is showing up here? We got Richard. Hello, Richard, and Danny, and Zach, and Zane. All right, cool. Some of the usual crew of people, of guitar fans. All right, so I don't have a lot of gain on here. I'm going to actually stay with my Blues Junior, but I'm going to add a tube screamer in a chain. And then later on, I might switch to a slightly more overdriven tone, kind of like an 80s rock tone on a little bit. But right now, this is just a Blues Junior type amp with a tube screamer in front of it, just to give it a little bit overdrive. Okay, so let's assume we know nothing about hammer-ons and pull-offs, all right? A hammer-on is where you're going to, like, for instance, hold the 5th fret on the 1st string, and then you're going to strike with a higher finger, fingers 2, 3, or 4, on a higher fret on that same string. You're going to hit it hard enough with that finger that the note rings like this. Watch, I pick the 1st, and then I hit the 2nd note with the finger hard enough that it rings. Watch, I'll try it with my 3rd finger on the 7th fret. Pick, and then I hammer on the 7th fret. So you don't want to gently just put the finger, although it does ring. It's kind of weak, isn't it? If you just gently put it there. That's why they call it a hammer-on. Because think about when you're hammering a nail into a piece of wood, you're not gently just letting the hammer fall on the nail. You're using your wrist to put a little weight into that hammer to get that nail into the wood or the wall, okay? So that's what we want to do here, is pick and then forcefully with your finger come down perpendicular to the fretboard. We don't want to come down at an angle, come down straight. Just like with a hammer, if you hammer sideways, the nail's going to bend. Okay, you want to hammer on directly down in front of it. See what I'm doing right there? Just come straight down. Okay. Also try the pinky on the 8th fret. Okay, the pinky is usually the hardest for everybody because it's the shortest finger on our hand for most of us. All right. And it's also the skinny one. So it's the weakest, but we don't want to not use the pinky. We want to be pinky players too. All right. You want to be able to use all 4 fingers. So having said that, we're going to do some exercises right off the top here. An example 1, 2, and 3. Let me see. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 that work all 4 of your fingers. Okay. So that was our little discussion on the hammer-ons. Hey, Roland's here. All right, Roland, and a bang. Cool. All right, good to see some other usual suspects. Okay, so the hammer-ons, I've just talked about those. Now, pull-off is where you're on a higher note on a higher finger, and then we're going to pull that finger off to a lower note on the same string with a lower finger. For instance, let's try something easy here. Let's do the 2nd finger on the 6th fret 1st string, pull off to the 1st finger on the 5th fret 1st string like this. Okay, so what a pull off is basically is you're plucking the string with that same finger you just picked. So I picked the 6th fret, 2nd finger, pick, and then that 2nd finger makes a flicking motion downwards, essentially plucking the string to get the 5th fret to ring. Okay, so unlike a hammer-on comes down perpendicular, straight directly to the fretboard. The pull-offs don't come out the opposite way, because if you do that, it's weak as well. Hear how that sounds? See, if I just lift it outwards that way, it's pretty weak. It's not impressive. Okay, you want to flick the finger downwards. It kind of make a dragging motion. Okay, let's try that with the 3rd finger on the 7th fret. Pull off to your index finger. So pick the 3rd finger, and then with that 3rd finger, pull it down, flick that string to the floor so that the 5th fret rings. The trick is, the goal is, people, you want your hammer-ons and pull-offs to sound as loud as your pick notes. Okay, otherwise, what you're playing sounds disjointed and irregular. See, those are weak hammer-ons. Okay, weak pull-offs. Okay, we don't want that. You want them to sound like this. Oops, I can do better than that. There you go. Okay, good solid hammer-ons. And then pull-offs, same way. Good solid pull-offs. Okay, that's your basic pull-off technique. You can do that on any string. Sure, on the thicker strings, they get a little harder because the strings are fatter, and you've got strings underneath your fingers to contend with. But this is the start of it. We're just going to work with the 1st string a little bit here. But when you go to the 2nd string, same thing. Okay. And then your objective is to get the volume on everything sounding the same. So when you do a legato style lick, see that lick? I do pick, then I pull off, and I'm also sliding from one note is another legato style technique. We're not talking about it today, but I got it in this particular lick. You know, some licks you write, or maybe you learn from other guitar players, might use more than just hammer-ons and pull-offs. They might even tap a note and then slide to a note. Okay, but this little lick I came up with, it starts with a pick, then pull off, slide, then hammer on, pull off. So I'm getting, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 notes, but I only picked the first one. And then I do the same idea on the 2nd string. Keeping the notes within the framework of the scale, the key I'm in. In that case, it's A minor. And then maybe the 3rd string, after I do this, the same idea, moving it across. Okay, hear how that sounds? And this all kind of sounds a little better or more kind of smooth if I switch my setting from, that's kind of a bluesy sound. If I go to my preset for this one, see what my preset number is. Got several presets on my Axe effects. I'm just kind of going through them. So now this is a slightly it's a high gain amp. I think it's a Friedman amp. Okay, those high gains or slightly higher gain sounds really good for the legato technique. But another thing too you got to contend with when you start doing hammer-ons and pull-offs is keeping the other strings silent. Okay, so if I don't mute, see what happens when I take my hands off the strings? Stuff starts making noise. See all that noise that you get? So I really, as I'm playing, I'm constantly muting the strings I'm not playing with my heel of the right hand. Okay. And as soon as I'm done playing, I always touch the strings to keep them quiet. So it's a big part of playing lead guitar is controlling those other strings. All right, so let me go back to that bluesy setting that I had with the tube screamer on there for our exercises. Okay, and as we go through our examples here, I'll probably pull out a few other examples of licks that I've come up with or, fragments from some songs we've heard before. Okay, so before I do that, I see David's got a comment or a question. He says a trill is when you repeat the hammers-ons and pull-offs, correct? Yes, David, it is. In fact, we're going to be doing trills right now. And, here in example 1, 2, and 3 that we're going to cover today. And then let's see what he says here. As an exercise goal, what's a reasonable target speed for rock music, BPM with the 16th notes? Well, first off, Dave, let's learn example 1. There's 3 different sections to example 1. And it starts out, if you look, there are 16th notes tied to 8th notes and quarter notes, or 16th notes tied to a quarter note, or notes tied to a half note. Okay, so let's start with the first one, Dave, and I think we're gonna figure that out with the metronome too. In fact, let me get my metronome going. Get it queued up for you. Okay, so let's start with. Okay, we're not going to do the metronome yet. I'm just getting it lined up here. Okay, we'll get that ready, and we'll answer that one, Dave, in a minute. Okay, so example 1, people, we want to get strong fingers to be able to play the legato style and good solid hammer-ons and pull-offs, or trills, as David's saying, where you're going to go. Hear Santana do that kind of stuff. Or Randy Rhoads. I'm forgetting those licks, but Randy Rhoads, Ozzy Osbourne's first guitar player, when he left Black Sabbath, did a lot of trills. We're going to learn some of that cool stuff too, not just exercises, but I got some neat stuff coming up. If we don't get to it today, next Wednesday we'll be touching on it. So we got to get strong fingers, people, and get the technique mastered before we try to play all this crazy stuff that I was demonstrating a minute ago. You got to start with the basics, because if you can't do the basics, the faster stuff's not going to come along any better. It's probably not going to sound that good either. Okay. And we want to get all of our fingers to be equally strong. All right. So we don't want to let the listener hear a difference between a hammer-on and a pull-off and a pick note. Okay. Because that makes your playing not sound as smooth. So example 1 works with index and middle finger. Okay. The first bar in example 1 is just doing a hammer-on and pull-off. So we're going to strike the 5th fret, pick the 5th fret with your index on the first string, hammer to the 6th fret, and then pull up to the 5th fret. That's it. Just going. We do that twice. Okay. In fact, you might want to do more than that, but all that's written in the first bar is this. Okay. Just get that comfortable where all the notes sound good. And then maybe even add a little shaking of the string, a little vibrato at the end. Okay. Then the second part of it, we're going to do that, but we're not just going to do one hammer-on pull-off. We're going to do 2 hammer-ons and pull-offs. So we're going to go, but we're only going to pick the first note. Watch. And then again. Okay. Might want to do it more than twice just to get it down. Try not to stop the last note. Okay, like that. And then obviously mute those other strings, because if I don't mute those strings, you hear that other stuff ringing? Hear that? That doesn't sound good. That's because I'm not muting those strings. If I mute the strings, you don't hear that weird overtone. I mute by touching with the heel of my right hand, sometimes the thumb muscle here on my right hand. Okay, just lean them on the strings. And as you get better and more efficient with that, people, try to go quicker. You know, when you get them going nice and quick, that's, I think, what David is wondering about. Okay, we'll get there one sec. Okay, then the third part of example 1 is the second line. Okay, this is where we're going to extend it, and we're going to do 4 hammer-ons and pull-offs for those notes. So we're going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a pull-off. Okay? Hammer, pull-off, hammer, pull-off, hammer, pull-off, hammer, pull-off. Okay? You want to make sure they're even before you try to play it quick. Okay. Hello, Theen. I see you just chimed in the comment bar there. Okay. So we want to make sure they're even, not choppy. Okay. Not like that, but this. Again. Okay. Kind of like that. We're just working with the first, second finger. Now, with 16th notes, David, 16th notes imply you're going to do 4 notes per beat. So, okay, let's slow it down a little bit just so everyone can digest this rhythm. Okay, let's go down to 60. Okay, so the first one is going to be 16th notes and an 8th note. Sound like this. Okay, that's the first bar of example 1. I played it 4 times though, I played the lick 4, not twice. Okay, now the second bar is playing 2 hammer-ons and pull-offs twice. So I'm going to do it 4 times for everybody. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Okay, now the next 2 bars on line 2, we're going to do 4 hammer-ons and pull-offs, let it ring for 2 beats, and then do it again. I'm going to do that thing 4 times, even though it's written twice, like this. 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3, 4, 1, 2 E and a 3, 4, again, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3, 4. Very cool. All right, that's 60 beats a minute, everybody. You want to start slow and get it comfortable first. Because if you can't do it slow and good and controlled, you can't get a free pass and skip and just go to the cool, fast stuff. All right. You can certainly try, but it'll humble you. All right. If you're honest with yourself, it's most likely not going to sound good. You got to take your time and do it slow. All right. So I'm going to ramp it up from 60. I'm going to go to 80 and we'll do the same thing. Okay. Here's 80. 3, 4. I'm going to do the first one 4 times, second one 4 times, third one. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Okay, next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then the next one. 2, 3, 4. I went too long. Here we go. 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. 2 and a 3, 4. Okay. Let's try it at 100. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Next one. Next one. Excellent. I'm going to keep ramping it up in 20 beat increments. Now, I suggest with everybody, if you're doing this for the first time with metronome, don't do 20 beats increments because you probably want to do more like 5 beat increments or 10 as you gradually increase your tempo. I'm just doing 20 now to save time and get to the point so we can cover a little more material. Okay, here we go at 120. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay. Now, sometimes when it gets going fast, it's hard to count the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4, but you want to feel 4 pulses per beat, 4 subdivisions. Ducka, 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 ducka. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now here's 140. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next one. Next one. Okay, just for kicks and giggles, let's go to 160. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I kind of botched that one of those last ones, but you can see where it's going, David, and everybody else. Okay, so we could probably go faster than 160, but I'm kind of doubting many of you can do that. So I think that's a good stopping point because most songs aren't going much faster than 160, unless, of course, you're doing some speed metal, okay, or a fast country tune. All right. But to go to like 170 or 180, it just starts getting in the realm of not many songs go that fast. But let's just, well, you know what? Here's 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there you go. It's pretty quick. Okay, let's tuck it back. Actually, I'm not going to do the metronome with all of these because just to save time, but let me get that back to where a reasonable tempo. Okay, let's go to example 2. So far, we've only worked with holding your index and then doing your middle finger, hammer-ons and pull-offs. Example 2, we're going to do exactly the same routines, same idea, but we're going to use your third finger on the 7th fret. So the first bar of example 2 is this. So I'm going to play each bar twice, even though it's written once. Okay. And then the lick is twice in that first bar. I'm going to end up playing it 4 times just so you can get an idea what it sounds like. because part of practicing two people is repeating, repetition. Don't just do it once and think I got it. All right. You got to be able to do it like 5 or 6 times in a row with no mistakes and sounding good. Conversely, don't just do it once or twice. And if you're not getting it, give up because I'll never get it. No. Most people, most guitar players have to do a lot of practicing to get good. And most of them are good because they put the hours in, okay, the time. So and you got to repeat stuff. You got to play stuff over and over again, and it'll get you there, okay? But build it slow, people. Like you're building a house, you want to build it on a foundation, solid cement, concrete, rock, all right? You don't want to build your house on sand. It's like playing guitar. If you don't know the basics and you think you just want to go ahead and learn Eruption from Van Halen or Stairway to Heaven from Led Zeppelin or any other song, Master of Puppets from Metallica, right? Or Hot Rod Lincoln, you know, that cool country tune, all right? Those songs are a lot more advanced. Don't think you can just start playing them and get them down. And please don't be disappointed if you can't, because those are more advanced type of songs. It's going to take a lot of practice and a lot of stickability to get to that level. Try to get and master things that are in your wheelhouse, things that are in your area of where your level is, and then build upon that. Okay. So learn these simple techniques that I'm showing you and get them down. This will go far in helping you become a better player, solid player. Okay. So example 2, we just did the 3rd finger, the first bar. Okay. Then the next bar is going to do 2 hammer-ons and pull-offs. Let's do it 4 times. Okay. And then the next 2 bars, do 4 times a hammer-ons and pull-offs. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't count that and play it. Hang on. 1. There you go. Okay. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3, 4. Okay, and then do them with your metronome. Slow. I'm sorry. Slowly. Go a little quicker. Okay. You know what? I just saw a typo here, people. That 5 right there in the first bar of example 2. Where is it? Yeah, that actually, don't play that 5. That should have been a tie like I've done in all the other examples. All right. The last note, the hammer-on pull-off note should tie to the very next 5. Okay. That's a typo there. I didn't notice that until right now. Okay. And then the next one is 2 hammer-ons and pull-offs. And then the next one's 4. Try to get them going real smooth. Okay. It's a nice fluttering effect. Okay. Now let's jump down to the hard one. Exercise 3, bottom of page 1. It's going to do the same routine, but using the index and the pinky finger. Oh boy. Okay. And let's see, I'll take a peek over on page 2. Top of page 2, we're going to, we're just going to do the top line on page 2. And that's where we're going to end this particular part of the hammer-on pull-off routines. We're just trying to get you to have a strong hammer-on and pull-off with the middle finger, ring, and index. The middle finger, ring, and pinky. The index so far is just hanging loose, not doing anything. But the index can also do hammer-ons and pull-offs. I will give you some demonstrations of that. Hang on. Okay, I'll definitely play you several examples in a few minutes, but let's get through example 3, and then we can take a little time out. All right. So David's making another comment. Tie, example 2, bar 1. If there's no note played, you just let it ring. Yes, David. Or is there 2 typos? Well, yeah, there should be, Dave, there should be a tie. Let me see. So I'm pointing at it right. Yeah, there should be a tie from that last 8th note to that quarter note. And then if the tie was there, then the software I use for this, Guitar Pro, would actually not have a 5 there. It would be gone. So I think that's what you're talking about. A tie between that eighth note to the quarter note would negate that 5. That 5 would not be there if the tie was there. So I think that's what you mean by 2 typos. Unless you find another one, Dave. I've been known to have other typos in my music, but I think you got it. I think that's what you meant. Okay, so example 3, people. We're on first string still, frets 5 and 8. Let's do the short one with your index and pinky. Okay. And just try to make sure the notes are nice, loud, and snappy. Not... Okay, you don't want to gently lift off. You got to forcefully hit hard down, perpendicular relatively, okay? And then when you pull off, look at my pinky. It goes down. That's what you want. Okay, and then the second bar of example 3 does 2 hammer-ons and pull-offs. Okay, spend some time practicing the pinky ones because they tend to be the harder ones for everybody, okay? Okay, and on top of page 2 is that we're going to do 4 hammer-ons and pull-offs. So we're going to go. And then again. Again. And then last one. Okay, so hopefully you're sounding good on those. Now, what's not shown on the page is doing that on other strings. I highly advise this, and I do this with my private students when we do this, is don't just do them on the first string, because when we do hammer-ons and pull-offs, you could be doing those on any string, okay? See, watch this. You're familiar with, let's do this one. What's this song? Probably clean up the sound a little bit there. It's not really, it's supposed to be on acoustic guitar. That little intro is kind of like a bluegrass, Celtic bluegrass type of riff Jimmy Page wrote. It's got lots of hammer-ons and pull-offs. And he's doing a hammer-on pull-off with the index finger. You can practice just that. Go an open third string to the second fret and then pull off. And you can practice trilling like that. Ed Van Halen does a lot of trills on the old Van Halen stuff. Okay. Okay, that's a good one to do. How about this, another Led Zeppelin song? What's that? Let's see. Heartbreak, yeah. Then you hear him go. Okay, that whole lick's pretty cool. It's all hammer-ons and pull-offs. Starts with the 2 on the second fret, third string. Hammer your pinky to the 5. Pull off to the second fret. Pull off to the open G. Okay, we're going to be doing some hammer-on pull-off licks like that next week on the rest of this page, this curriculum, I mean. So the hammer-ons and pull-offs can get you a lot of mileage out of stuff without having to pick every single note. Helps you play quicker and faster, okay? It's not an excuse for ignoring our pick techniques. We're actually I'm gonna spend 2 weeks on pick technique stuff in a few weeks. Probably, I think in about 5 weeks or 6 weeks from now, we're gonna get into that. But we're just focusing on hammer-on pull-off ideas. How about you're familiar with Malagueña, right? That little Spanish classical thing. I do a lot of hammer-on pull-off licks in that when I'm doing a... Okay, a lot of that was picked, but then this lick is hammer-on pull-off, pull-off. I like playing a little Spanish guitar sometimes. And when I do, I like playing Malagueña. I do a little intro that I wrote to it. And that's part of one of the licks I do. Also sounds like an Alex Lifeson from Rush. He does a lick like that in one of those Rush songs. I'm forgetting which one it is, but maybe some of the Rush fans, if any of you out there are fans of Rush, you might recognize that. But those pull-off licks to the open strings are also really cool. Like Jimmy Page was doing in Heartbreaker, or Alex Lifeson does in Rush, or what I do in the Malagueña. Okay. And also, if you start throwing in a tap finger too, you combine tapping, which essentially is, think about this, people. We call it tapping, but it's hammering on the note with, it's like adding the fifth finger to your hand. It's hammering on a note and then also pulling off with that same finger. Like, right? Spanish Fly, Van Halen. All they are is tapping or hammering on with the right hand, pulling off to a note in the left hand, hammering on with your pinky. Okay? So the whole tapping thing, we're also going to spend 2 weeks on tapping ideas. We've got that coming down the line. But it even works in classical music. A lot of times that some Bach music that I love listening to works out really good to do hammer-ons, pull-offs, and tapping too. Okay, you get the idea. I'm not going to go down that road right now, but there's a lot of possibilities when you master or get these hammer-on pull-off techniques down, okay? So just throwing that out to you. Okay, just for kicks, let's try this, and then I'm going to show you something that's not on the page that I want you to do, and then we'll work with a couple other examples on page 2 for today. What I'd like you to do is try playing everything we just learned from example or exercise 1, 2, and 3. That was on the first string. Try it on the second string. Now, the second string might be a little trickier for everybody because now we've got another string underneath it that's, some people say, gets in the way. So when they hammer on pull off, their fingers kind of drags into that first string. Okay? So you are making a flicking motion downwards with your middle finger. But you want to make sure that like your index is not barring the first, because you don't want that sound, because then it sounds like we're hitting the first also. You don't want that noisy sound. You want to keep your finger on the tip, okay? In fact, you can when we're on a higher string than a high E, or a lower string in the bass, okay? I always let the fingerprint part of that finger, my index, lightly touch back here. You can see it's touching the first string just a little. So the only string that's ringing is 2, but the first is muted by that. So when I do my hammer on and I pull off, the first string doesn't ring because I'm muting it with the fingerprint part of my first. Now that requires a very delicate and precise touch because you don't want to press accidentally hard on the first string and then you get this. It rings. We don't want that. We want this. Okay. So this is also good technique to work on, just keeping your index on the tip relatively, but let the fingerprint part lightly touch, not fret, but touch the first string. So when we do that same example 1, sounds clean. And then twice. And then 4. And then try your ring finger. 4 times or twice. And then 4 times. Okay, then your index and pinky. Once. Twice on each one. Okay, 4 times on each. 4 hammer-ons and pull-offs. Again. 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 One more for good sake. Okay. And then just for kicks, people, if you do it on the 6th string, that's kind of hard too. But even some rhythm guitar parts would benefit by you having hammer-ons and pull-offs worked into the bass. Okay? Try it on the bass. Or 3rd finger. 4. Pinky. Twice. 4 times. Okay. Now also, folks, don't think that if you turn up the gain, it's going to help you sound better. What that does, it might make your volume a little more even on the notes, but it's also going to make everything sound more noisy. So if you add more gain, you really got to work with muting the strings. But the truth is, people, we should be able to get a good hammer-on pull-off sound on no distortion at all. Go to like a clean setting. Try it on your acoustic guitar. Try to do your hammer-on pull-offs there, because that will build your finger strength. All right. Because I do a lot of these when I do that Spanish stuff I was just playing you. I do that on my nylon string guitar. All right. So it makes my fingers stronger to play that guitar when I work through it. And then when I come on my electric, it's like, wow, this is easy. A lot easier on the electric. Okay. So you got to build your strength, and you want to make sure you're doing it right. Another thing too, try to do it slowly, because sometimes, again, people think if I do it faster, it sounds better. Yeah, but if you can't do it slow and controlled, then it's probably not controlled faster. You might think it is, but it's probably not. All right, so try to go like this. Try to do 4 hammer-on and pull-offs evenly. How that work? Try your 3rd finger. Try your pinky. Again. Okay, so try to build the finger strength there. Another good pull-off tune is, what is this one? I'm blowing it, but you get the idea. We're talking about Thunderstruck. There we go. You get the idea. Those are all pull-offs, actually. There's no hammer-ons there. But there's a lot of good parts of songs you can you can steal. You're right, David. AC/DC. Yep. There's a lot of good parts of songs you can use as little exercises too. And the first things we just did don't really sound like necessarily melodic or anything you would use in a song. The techniques you're going to use, but the actual examples you might not, because they're not really part of a scale. Okay, now, having said that, the rest of what we're going to do in our Hammer-on pull-off curriculum today and next week is more melodic sounding. These next exercises are actually out of a scale. Not all the same scale, but each exercise is using some scale that I'm going to talk to you about. So let's take a look on page 2, starting with the second line down. It says example 4. Okay, let's read the text there. It says A harmonic minor, Randy Rhoads style. Okay, so it's not a harmonic minor, it's the key of A harmonic minor scale. But maybe I should have wrote the key, or should have wrote harmonic minor scale, key of A. Okay. And the neat thing about the harmonic minor scale is it has several half steps in it. The major scale and the relative minor scale only have 2 half steps. Let me pick someone's brain there that's been paying attention. Who can tell me if we're playing the C major scale, or the relative minor is A minor, there's 2 pairs of half steps. And a half step would be any notes that are 1 fret apart. There's 2 pairs of half steps in the C major or the A relative minor scale. Can anyone tell me what the 4 notes are, or the 2 pairs of notes involved with the half steps? Like David, do you know that? Or some of the other students that might know a little more about this stuff? Pipe in. There you go, David. That's one of the pairs, B and C, and E and F. There you go. All right, Richard's got it. Yep. Awesome, people. Good deal. Everybody rolling. Yeah, Steve, sweet. So just to check, make sure you're not sleeping at the wheel. All right. Yeah. Oh, David, I think you had a typo. You went R, but I think the R key is right close to the F. And I think that's it. But yeah, it's E and F and B and C. So there's only 2 pairs of half steps in the diatonic major minor scale. Okay. But the harmonic minor scale, if we do A harmonic minor, it's just like A minor. The A minor scale has the BC half step and the EF half step. But the harmonic minor scale, in addition to those, what the harmonic minor does is sharps the 7th note. So if we played the A natural minor, A, B, C, there's your half step right there, B, C, the 2nd to the minor 3rd degree. Then number 4, the 5 to the flat 6 is your other half step. That's the E to the F. And then the 7th note in the A minor scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, for harmonic minor, that's raised a half step. So it becomes a G sharp. Instead of G, we're playing G sharp. Now from the G sharp, it's a half step back to your A at the octave of our first one. So you got half step there, half step there, and then half step there. And then it repeats an octave higher. So if I play it in succession, it sounds kind of cool. It's a little exotic sounding. A lot of classical music uses this scale. So does a lot of metal music. And if you want to sound kind of Arabian or Middle Eastern, songs of used that aren't heavy, you don't have to play them in only heavy metal. These sound good in other styles of music too. If you're looking for that Middle Eastern vibe, listen. I'm sorry. Hear that sound? All right, I'm kind of getting off the track, but I was just trying to illustrate that harmonic minor sound. All that was a harmonic minor. So you kind of get a feel for that. You hear that in the... Okay, that was the A harmonic minor scale as well. Okay, so it's got a unique sound to it. It sounds pretty cool for some things. Probably not going to use that scale if you're playing the blues or you're trying to write a soft love ballad. Okay, but what's neat about this whole music thing, people, is you can create moods by the chords you're playing and the scales you're playing if you understand the chords and the scales. All right, you can create moods for people, like the soft romantic kind, or something that's a little more aggressive, or if you want it to sound Middle Eastern or Spanish sounding or Asian sounding. All right, there's a lot of neat tools you can do, and music's pretty deep. There's a lot of cool stuff, and I definitely don't know everything, and I'm glad, because I love learning, and what fires me up on guitar is to work on things that I'm not good at. And I hit up some of my friends that are really good players. I got a great Spanish guitar player friend, Gal Drimmer, who I played with a few times, and I've taken some lessons with him, because he sounds great on that Spanish guitar stuff. And was just kind of working on it, learning it. It was something that I couldn't do. So I was lucky enough to take some lessons from him, and he gave me a lot of good ideas, and I go home and practice those ideas. Okay. So anyway, keep learning, people. There's always a lot out there to learn from. So number 4, example 4, everybody, we're going to wrap up with that one today. This is doing trills a la Randy Rhoads style with the A harmonic minor scale. Okay, so if you just read the tablature, the first trill is on frets 4 and 5 on the 6th string. And we're going to use just the first and second finger on everything here. This entire example 4 will just be these 2 fingers. All right. So we're going to go picking the 4th fret, hammer on the 5th fret, pull off to the 4th fret, hammer to the 5th fret. So it's going to go. Then we're going to jump up, same string, same fingers at the 7th and 8th fret. Same thing. Hammer on, pick, hammer on, pull off, hammer on. Then we jump down a string, do it on the 5th string, 7 and 8. Then the 4th string, frets 6 and 7. Then the 3rd string, frets 4 and 5. 2nd string, frets 5 and 6. 1st string, fret 4 and 5. 1st string, fret 7 and 8. And we go back to fret 5. Okay, let's try it slowly. Okay, you want to be able to connect the dots, connect the notes evenly. We don't want to go. Okay, it doesn't sound good. And if that's how you practice it, that's what it's going to sound like. If you practice it that way, that's what you're training your fingers to do. We actually don't want to do that. You're better off playing it slowly and training your fingers to move without stopping. Okay, so these are all 16th notes. So if I come back to Mr. Metronome at 60 beats a minute, watch this. Okay, I'm going to do 1 trill per beat, like this. Da 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 da. 3E and a 4E and a. Each beat, I play another trill. Try it again. Okay, and it would definitely help to memorize the fret positions so you don't have to look at your music. You can look at your fingers though, for sure, because the fingers are moving up and down and crossing strings. So you can look at your fingers, but try to memorize it, because as soon as you look at your tab, because you forgot something, you stop and you make mistakes. So try to learn a little bit at a time, maybe 2 beats, or maybe 1 bar at a time. And then make sure you can do those small sections from memory first. Okay. That's a better way to learn in small pieces, and make sure you got each part before you start trying to connect everything. Okay. Here it is at 80. Oops. Where'd that go? Sorry. Okay. 80. 3, 4. Okay, let me go up to 100. Again, I recommend, if you're doing this with a metronome, which is a good way to practice. I still use my metronome almost every day, people, when I practice. Okay, it's a good way to gauge, to know where you're at too, because some licks I'm working on, I know I'm at a certain tempo. So when I practice with the metronome, I work up to that tempo, and then I try to push it a few beats per minute faster. And eventually, I'll be able to do that. Sometimes, though, when I go 5 or 10 beats faster, I'd sound messy, make mistakes. So I go back to what our comfortable tempo was, where I'm not making mistakes, and I keep at it. And don't give up, because sometimes you got to do things, like I said, 40, 50, 60, 70 times before it starts to sink in and sound good. You got to be patient and fall in love with practicing and playing your guitar. So it's part of it. You'll walk away a better player by doing that. Okay. You know what, Roland? Actually, the beginning of bar 2 of example 4, it's not a typo. I was playing it wrong. Okay. So what we're doing here, actually, people, is I'm going up 4 trills, and then I'm going back 1. So the easy way, people, is what I was just doing. Just go straight up the scale with them. But Roland, sharp eye, man. Glad you're paying attention. And too bad the other folks weren't. But hopefully they were too. They just didn't say anything. But what I meant was this. We're going to go up 4 trills. And in the next bar, I go back to the previous trill and start there and go up 4. And then the 3rd bar, I go back to the previous trill, 4 and 5 on the 3rd string. Okay, so that sounds cool too, to go up in a sequence. Okay, so I'm not going to start again at 60, but here it is at 100, played the correct way. Thank you, Roland. 4, 1, 2, ready, go. Back. Back. Okay, let's try it at 120. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 notes per beat, like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. Okay, let's try 140, just to give everyone an illustration. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Try 160. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's crazy, but here's 180. So we got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, that's pushing the edge for me. Try it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but fortunately, most songs that I play are nowhere near 180 beats a minute. Okay, so I think David was asking about the speed on the metronome, so that gives you a good idea. Most songs, though, people, your average song is like 135 beats a minute. Of course, there's slower songs, there's faster songs, but a good middle of the road to shoot for is something about, hang on one sec, boom, Okay, a good thing to shoot for is like the 130, 140 range, everybody. 16th notes, okay? That'll kind of get you up to what most songs are. And of course, if you can do it at 130 or 140, then you should be able to do it at slower speeds too. And if you can't, that's something else we need to work on, is being able to play it at different speeds, because not every song's the same tempo. You know, what if you've got a really cool lick you wrote, or you picked up from someone that you want to throw in a song? You can't just do it at the speed you learned it at, because chances are the song you want to play it in is probably not the exact speed that the original song that you got the lick was from. Okay, so work on those licks. Next week we will pick up with example 5. Let me make a note. Okay, sorry about the downtime there, no talking. All right, and then next week we will finish our curriculum here. We might go over a few of what we just did, but you need to practice that and get it down. And of course, people, reach out to me on Guitar Tricks. We've got a ton. If you're not a Guitar Tricks member, we got a lot of lessons like this on the site. It doesn't cost that much to subscribe. In fact, I did a silly thing. I should have read this, and I need to do it right now real quick. Hang on one sec before we sign out. I meant to do this, and I need to do this. Please give me a sec here. I've got to share something with everybody. All right, this isn't going to work. Okay, let me do something else here. Please don't leave yet. I got something to share with you on Guitar Tricks. We've got some big promotion that I want to share with you. And if you're not a Guitar Tricks member, you probably want to check them out for this reason here. Let me grab that. Yeah, here we go. Sorry about this, people. I'm going to do this next week too, okay? All right, I'm sharing a lot. I'm sharing this entire text chat in the chat window with everybody right there. Cool, cool, cool. And let me just read this to you real quick here. It's pretty simple stuff, but I should have read this at the beginning of the lesson. I severely apologize, but I'll do that next week at the front of the lesson for sure. Before we start today's lesson, or as we're wrapping up, I want to share with you that Guitar Tricks has an amazing Black Friday deal this year. With the Guitar Tricks Black Friday deal, you'll get $99 for the first year, plus the Ultimate Beginner Bundle, which includes a free custom lesson plan, free access to 1 premium boot camp, free copy of our Ultimate Beginner Guide, and free exclusive access to our brand new 100 Essential Licks video series. This is a $500 value for just 99 bucks. So plus you get to have access to the website. If you're not a current member, monthly member, you can or if you are a current monthly member, you can upgrade to the annual subscription with this deal too. If you have any questions about this or would like more info, please email Guitar Tricks at admin@guitartricks.com. ADMIN, and then the @ symbol is A with the circle around it, and then guitartricks.com. And they'll be glad to give you more information on it. So if you're not a Guitar Tricks member, people, like I was saying, we've got a ton of really good lessons. If you like what I'm doing with the lead guitar stuff here, I've got a lot of lessons on the site myself. Some of the other instructors, Anders and Mike and Christopher and a bunch of other guys, have some really cool stuff in all kinds of different genres too. So it's a good site, and you can't really go wrong with that kind of 99 bucks for a year, right? That's pretty inexpensive for all you get. Plus you get access to the boot camps, 1 free boot camp, and some other free stuff too. All right. So some good stuff. I love to help people out. I also do one-on-one lessons with guitar tricks. So if you want to reach out for some additional help, I'd be glad to help coach you or point you in the right direction, give you some lesson plan advice, like directions to work on. Okay. So work on those hammer-ons and pull-offs, and then I will see everyone next Wednesday. Sounds good. All right. Be good. And then everyone's wrapping up here. King 50, Bill. All right. Thanks. Cool. Cool. Steve and Zane. All right. You're very welcome, man. Appreciate everyone dropping in. And Glenn. Cool. David. Yep. David. All right. Dave says, if you're old enough, I think you could develop an irregular heartbeat chasing that speed. Yeah. Thank goodness most songs aren't 180, though. Yeah. All right. And Jim, everyone, have a good week. We'll see you next Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.